Well, g'day. This is Iron Horse here, and there's been another thing that's been going around on the flat Earth versus globe debate for a very long time, and basically it is that the globbers tend to think that the ISS proves we live on a spinning ball. Now I can debunk that sort of just using simple basic logic. It's not that difficult whatsoever. If you understand the heliocentric model in the first place, and quite simply, because if you believe in the heliocentric model, you believe that the Earth spins once per day. So once every 360 degrees, it's gone on its own axial rotation, tilted, of course, at 23.4 degrees, which the opposite of that from 90 degrees is 66.6 degrees. Now, convenient that the 666 often shows up, but at the same time, 2/3 is 666.66 as well. So it's not that unlikely a scenario in mathematics that if something is divided in the 369 ratio type of thing, then if we're using the decimal system, then 1/3 of 10 is 3.333, 2/3 6.666, etc. So it is not that unlikely that that could happen. So it's tilted at 66.6 degrees. It's traveling at 66,600 miles per hour to orbit the sun, because they put the sun 93 million miles away. And because we move almost a degree per day to make a full circle around it once in 365.24 rotations, that works out to be a speed of 66,600 miles per hour, which in that 24-hour period where we've rotated 25,000 miles, we've traveled 1,600,000 miles in 24 hours. And every flying thing is keeping up with that. The ISS, however, moves 17,500 miles per hour, which is about 10 times faster than a speeding bullet. And that's the sort of speeds we're talking about. But the Earth is moving 10 times faster than a railgun projectile, which is moving 8.4 Mach. But the bullet is only moving 1,700 miles per hour. See the difference? 1,700, that's divide that by 767, it's only 2.2 Mach, roughly. Not even that. That's not even that. But anyway, it's not enough to keep up with something going 88 Mach. So the problem is that if it's orbiting the thing going 88 Mach, it has to be going 88 Mach plus Mach 2. Let's just say 2.2. I don't know off the top of my head. Let me work it out. 1,700. Bloody hell. Get technology out. Calculator, where are you? 17,500 divided by 767. It's going 22 Mach, 22.8 Mach. That's right, because it's going 10 times faster than a speeding bullet, which would therefore then be 2.2 Mach. So not a bad guesstimate. So the ISS is going 22 Mach, but the Earth is going 88 Mach. So the Earth is going 4 times faster. The Moon itself is only going 2,280 miles per hour, which is come on, clear, 2280 divided by 767 is 2.9 Mach, 2.97. So we'll say the Moon moves about Mach 3, so 3 times faster than that fighter jet you see breaking the sound barrier. So that's the speed of the Moon. The ISS is 22.8 Mach, let's say 23, and the Earth is 88 Mach. So how can things going that slow be orbiting around something going that fast? It simply cannot. But anyway, I'm just going to leave that there, because on the flat, stationary, planar Earth with topography, all water flows downhill according to laws of logic until it reaches sea level, where all land is measured above sea level. That's just basic legal and geographical fact. So I found this video I want to present. video file, and I left it under flat Earth. ISS transit, this one. Open Sesame. Let's have a look at it.
I saw this International Space Station crossing the moon, and I thought to myself, how come it's only about a quarter of the size of a plane crossing the moon? Seems like it'd be much smaller than that, especially when we look at the size comparison and see that both an airplane and the International Space Station are about the same size as a football field. And then you look at a football.
I will just turn his volume down a little bit. His voice does get a little bit grating to me, but you know, if you try and overlook that and listen to what he's saying, he's talking about the size of a football field. This will all start to make sense. And in fact, I'll have to find the comment I put in it too once we get to it.
Field from an airplane window, and you realize that it looks pretty small from there. So then I wonder, is this really 250 miles away? Then I thought to myself, well, it can't be fake, because I can go on YouTube and watch the live stream of the ISS coursing across the face of the Earth. And someone obviously took this picture, and I know you can track it, and there's people who see it all the time, but the live feed footage doesn't look much higher than a weather balloon. And we all know most satellites are launched by balloon. So then I came across this thing, which is a U.S. patented triangular spacecraft that uses what is called unconventional spacecraft propulsion systems, which is a spacecraft having a triangular hull with vertical electrostatic line charges on each corner that produce a horizontal electric field parallel to the sides of the hull. This field, interacting with a plane wave emitted by the antennas on the sides of the hull, generates force per volume, combining both lift and propulsion. Then I find out that these electrostatic propulsion systems are used in satellites.
That's very interesting. That is very interesting, because if we're talking about a stationary planar Earth with a repulsion field, that could explain why our satellites are moving through the sky. And I mean, our personal view of the sky, we have to bear this in mind. You might see 400 miles either side of you. 300 miles. There's a fella who's one of my friends I've found across the internet and the YouTube, called Sea Lightning 300 Miles. That's his name. He's chosen because he has seen lightning 300 miles away as tracked on a weather app from his position. So we can see things in the sky at least 300 miles away, and that's clouds and lightning. The stars and satellites even higher, we could be seeing for thousands of miles. So that's worth bearing in mind. Our personal horizon shrinks down to barely 3 miles either side of us, because that's the way perspective works. That convergence point ramping up to eye level is generally 3 miles. You might see further from certain locations, or it depends on your location as to what things are in the way. But generally speaking, our field of vision on the Earth is tiny, but in the sky it gets massive. So even the sun transiting the sky, we can still see it all day despite the horizon only being a few miles away. So these things, now I'm not 100% on board with that triangular aircraft thing that is demonstrated, but I like the way it thinks. And it's quite possible that a thing like that could create cloaking technology. That sort of thing exists as well. Like a thing could create a field around itself and project a certain image. In fact, this is something I did many years ago when I was thinking about helium balloon technology, helium blimp, and vortex energy that it would work by simply in the air itself, not going well above the atmosphere, but within the air. And so one of the things you could do is, if you had a light wing across the very top of it, is put a little camera on either tip, and each camera on the other side also has a projector. So what the camera on this side is picturing, this one projects onto the side of the blimp, and what that camera is saying, this one projects onto that side of the blimp, which would give it virtual invisibility. And then, by virtue of that, you could pretty well use anything you wanted to project any images you wanted. You know, you could do advertising or pretty colors. If you put a dark color on, for example, the heat from the sun would create an expansion of the volume of the helium within, which would give greater lift. If you wanted to come down, you could make it a cool color or a reflective color like white, which would reflect the heat back, cool down. So there's a variety of things you could do just with very simple ideas. if they've got even this blue beam technology, they could make that triangular object look like anything they wanted, and they could project something onto it from beneath, whether it be from another plane, another craft, another vehicle like it, or from the ground. They could project anything they wanted, and it could look identical to the ISS. So there is that possibility. I'll let him keep talking. He was great.
I start to look into electrostatic levitation. What? Then I find out about the electrostatics in our atmosphere, that it has an equipotential increase of 100 volts per meter, which could possibly be the reason for the downward bias of things trying to seek equilibrium on the ground. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I figure out that liquid oxygen is actually magnetic. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. If liquid oxygen is magnetic and frozen oxygen is this beautiful sky blue, then does liquid oxygen somehow interact with this electrostatic orbital electromagnetic field? I don't know.
So this is where I'm coming from. Just a few days ago, if not 2 days, 2 or 3 days ago, I was on a TikTok live, and we're discussing how, I was with another glurfer, or a glurfer, and a few flat earthers, and I said, look, even if we can prove the ISS exists, how does that prove that the Earth is a globe? As I said in my opening, that I think the Earth being a globe makes the ISS impossible. But there's no reason why it could be impossible on the flat Earth. And they were saying, oh, yeah, but you need thrusters and propulsion and all that sort of stuff. And I said, well, maybe you don't. Maybe once you're above a certain height, which would be the same height which makes the ISS appear maybe half the size of the aeroplane when it transits the moon, maybe slightly more. And the plane flies 6 or 7 miles high. And we don't know the height of the plane when it transited the moon from the image you showed. I could possibly even go back and have a quick freeze frame of that, or you can do it yourself anyway. Relative size, if it was above 12 to 14 miles high, seems about right. If it's that actual size that we're told. And if it's using something which I suggested, is it could be using a form of propulsion such as maglev, which if you've ever seen it, you need basically something using frozen hydrogen or liquid hydrogen. That's what they use to make it super cold for the superconductivity. And once you give the thing a little push, it keeps going round and round on the track. And I just came up with that on the spot. I didn't even realize it could be a possibility. I said it may be something, because in my opinion, the moon is doing the same thing way up high, just beneath the firmament, just this side of a sea of superfluid helium, which is He3, which is virtually a liquid, which is virtually near perfect 0 degree, what's it called? Absolute zero, which I think is minus 263 degrees centigrade, something like that. Very, very, very cold, where the hydrogen firmament above it, which would be hydrogen, which is rock solid hydrogen, would possibly also have a in-between layer of hydrogen gas before the helium, because everything finds its place according to density. So I'd say that the moon is being like a superconductor whizzing around beneath that, and it is on an elliptical path. And you will see as this part of the video progresses that so is the ISS, but I don't think the ISS is that high. It's not up as high as the moon, but it could be just above the ozone layer, the O3 layer, which when it gets super cold, virtually turns into a liquid as well. It's not quite frozen oxygen, as you just showed. It's still a liquid, and it turns that blue color. I don't think it's entirely why the sky is blue, because sometimes it's very deep blue, much deeper than that pretty light blue that we showed. That's more to do with the argon in the atmosphere and all the other noble gases combined, including the neon closest to us, which actually glows bright white, which is why the clouds always reflect white light beneath them in the daytime, and then in the twilight, the edges of the neon start to fluoresce orangish and pink and that colors. That's why the clouds start reflecting that color, because the neon is quite a dense gas lower to the surface. But even at sunset, you'll see the neon layer is like this wide above the horizon, and then still then it's that light blue oxygen color. So I think that the ISS could well be either above or just beneath the ozone layer, where the air is so frictionless because it's so rarefied anyway. I personally think it's above. I think it's going around above, so there's even less friction, no atmosphere whatsoever. Still in Earth's gravity field, of course, so they have to fake the weightlessness and all that sort of stuff. But it's still possible, and whatever it's made of could be reacting because of the super coldness of space and the superfluid oxygen level. Lets it just spin around friction free. You don't need to use any amount of propulsion to keep it in motion. But I don't think it's going 17,500 miles per hour, like 10 times faster than a bullet. And we send rockets up that can dock with it safely and effectively and efficiently every single time without a single incident. I don't think so. Because even, I guess if they lined it up just right, I guess they could throw out a fishing line for magnet on it and pull themselves in.
Wait, what? Then I found this thing, a toroidal field made out of copper and stones. All of a sudden, he hangs this golden necklace over it, and it starts orbiting. Oh, have you seen the path of the ISS over the flat Earth? Yeah, that's the path it takes. The International Space Station path.
That's the one I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. That is the International Space Station path. Not path, path. Bloody Americans know this. Path. Grass. Pardon me, I'm getting off track. So if that's the path, that the ISS is taking, then that's how we see it. It's just like the spirograph patterns, which is exactly like what we see with each and every individual planet. So the so-called planets could technically be within the firmament, and that's how they are moving, and that everything is moving, because in the very north we have the very strong Mount Meru, Rupus Negros, some of the old names for it, Magnetic Mountain, Black Mountain, Black Rock. It's a huge mountain in the very center of the North Pole, which all the old maps show the 4 continents going around it. Wish I knew how to produce images here, but I haven't worked out how to do that yet, but I'll get there one day. But you've all seen the maps anyway. If you haven't, well, you will. It creates a vortex of energy. So everything rotates around clockwise. Everything. The sun, the moon, the stars, the International Space Station, although technically, it would still be going that way. It's just, and all the planets are doing their own thing, sacred geometric patterns. The model of the flat Earth is coming together. The ISS doesn't prove the Earth's a globe. If anything, it proves once more how impossible the globe is. And we have a working model of the flat Earth.
Over the flat Earth, it's a toroidal field. I don't know. This is why they don't want us to do our own research, because simply just asking a question about this sent me on this whole rabbit trail, finding a lot of other things that may be.
I think I'll leave it there because I think his video's finished anyway, and that's just perfect because it sounded like a globo. All right, thanks for watching this one, and we will see you around next time we do a presentation, which I think I might do a live on this entire thing shortly. All right, thanks for watching, and see you later.